Good evening, everyone. This is DJ Dupsy, and you're listening to the Sunday Dinner here on KSQUID. And boy, do we have a full menu this evening. All right. If you heard the promos or if you've been following us on social media, you know that tonight we're bringing back a repeat guest, three-peat, four-peat at this point, RicoR, local artist and activist. And tonight we're going to be talking about combating the colonial world and Indigenous rap and the power of lyrics, right? And so we're really going to have a conversation about Native American Indigenous rap, decolonization, identity, familiar themes here on the Sunday Dinner, so nothing you probably haven't heard before if you've been listening. One of the faithful, right? One of our regulars here at the dinner table. But tonight, we're going to let a lot of the music do the talking, and so I'm going to turn it over to my buddy RicoR to let him introduce himself and to kind of get us started. But yeah, we're going to listen to a lot of music tonight, so prepare your ears, prepare your mind and your spirit to have that conversation again about Native American Indigenous identity, rap, decolonization, right, intersectionality, right, through the music that we're going to listen to. So RicoR, I'm going to turn it over to you to reintroduce yourself to the KSQUID community and kind of then flow into our topics for tonight.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Well, first of all, it's really good to be back. My name is RicoR. RicoR is my stage name. I'm a local DIY recording artist here in Santa Cruz. I'm also in my first year of my master's program at UCSC, studying rap and decolonization, looking specifically at rap lyrics and how they combat some of the negative aspects of a colonized world, and kind of how rap lyrics help us return to some of those indigenous values that have been kind of stripped away by dominant social structures and European powers in today's world, and just kind of have been supposed on our society in different ways. And, in terms of like the performative structures of rap, I'm looking at rap mainly through activism, lyrics, as well as the hybrid of dominant thought. And I'm kind of using general history as a way to enhance this for context, looking at the history of the Holocaust in Europe, in Germany, as well as the history of the American genocide, and things like that. So that's my field. And today I love to talk a little bit about kind of the indigenous American side of rap music specifically, and showing some of the major artists that have been impactful in my research over specifically the last several months, but also kind of since I was 17 and 18, which is when I started getting into indigenous rap as a movement. So yeah, it's good to be back.
Cool. And so I know we're not going to play the first song yet, but do you want to kind of maybe take that first song that we're going to listen to, but we're not going to play it yet, but kind of like speak to some of those lyrics that you're talking about, and how the lyrics are having a conversation about decolonization and like you said, reclaiming, returning, right? Telling old stories in a new way. Yeah,
well, first of all, just to lead into this entire conversation, I'll say that indigenous rap is only one of the major ways that people are resisting today, specifically indigenous people. And the first part of the conversation I kind of want to draw attention to is how rap music inherently combats the stereotype. Because rap is such a complex genre, it's associated with things like turntables and beatboxing and drumming and looping and things that are very associated with the modern world. When an indigenous person performs rap, they're automatically combating the stereotype, because throughout history, indigenous people have been seen as very invisible and not talked about as much as they should be. So because when a native person performs rap, they're inherently combating the stereotype in that way. And one way that that is done in a very specific way is by dressing up in regalia while performing rap music. And the first artist that I got into in this movement, his name is Supaman. And he's an Absoluke rapper from Seattle, Washington. The Crow Nation is the modern name of the tribe. Of course, all the tribes have kind of names given to them by the Europeans. So this tribe is known as the Crow Nation. And he actually started dressing up in regalia by accident because he started out as a fancy dancer, and he was dancing for kids at a fancy dance performance, and they asked him to rap at this performance. It was just a dance performance, and he was asked to rap. And I don't know when this happened, but it was early on in his career when he started out as a dancer.
Side note, what's a fancy dance?
Fancy dance is just a type of traditional like powwow dancing from like indigenous tribes will do it. There's jingle dress dancing, there's fancy dancing, there's different types of like ceremonial dancing. So he started doing it at this conference or at this performance, and then from then on he started doing it intentionally. So now he does it as a very intentional way of combating the stereotype and as a way to empower. And he addresses the image of the primitive Indian by dressing up in regalia while performing rap and looping and beatboxing, which automatically combats the stereotype. So that's how he does it. And the first video that I found of him is called Prayer Loop Song. It's on YouTube. It's amazing. And this was my introduction to the whole movement. And in this video, if you guys look it up, I recommend it. He's literally dancing in a ceremonial way, looping, beatboxing with a native drum, rapping, and just visually it creates a really nice way of combating the stereotype. And I met him at the Red Market right before COVID, and he's a really amazing person. So he's been one of my major inspirations. And I recently looked up a great article about him from Moon Magazine, where they say, and I'm quoting this directly, they say, Supaman combines the hard-hitting lyrics and energy of hip-hop with contemporary forms of traditional Native American dance in full regalia, in his own positive messages, rhythms, and beats. And that's an interview that they did with him, which is really, really interesting, written by and published by the Moon Magazine, an online article website. And yeah, so this first song we're looking at is called Why. And I see this as kind of the signature song of the Indigenous Rap movement because it has a very universal sentiment. It asks in a very broad way, why do all these atrocities in the world happen? And he lists different things like drunk driving and genocide and bad parenting and youth being neglected and all this really horrific stuff in a very broad way. And the video for the song is amazing, and it features Acacia Red Elk, who is a jingle dress dancer from the Umatilla people of Oregon. She's in the video for the song. But it's a great hybrid of piano, which of course is a Western instrument, mixed in with indigenous rapping and singing and a native drum and looping and a turntable. And then also it's also a hybrid of the dancing plus the turntable and the rapping. So there's a nice combination of Western and non-Western entities in the song. And I covered the song, one of my favorite songs. But yeah, this is Why by Supaman.
Why I tell you the truth, but you say don't lie? Why it's Why do parents gotta bury their kids? Why we text and drive, not caring how scary it is? Why it's so hard to forgive and leave the past behind? And if you did, then that's divine. Why don't you help your brother when you see him fall? Why do we act like God don't see it all? Why do we call them black, them white, them Asians, and use labels? Now that's racism. I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why is there innocent people locked up for life, while some people can't say nothing nice? Why do we always gotta question what all of it means? And why won't you follow your dreams? Tell me why. The night when you took my dad, why'd you let me see my grandpa cry? And tell me why. And why do you choose to hide, even though you was born to fly? And tell me why. And why don't we turn from all the hate? And why don't we learn from all mistakes? Why do I keep on wrecking these fat beats? And teachers don't make more than professional athletes. And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? And why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why? I don't wanna Hawaii. I don't wanna Hawaii. Why?
All right, if you're just now tuning in, you're listening to the Sunday Dinner here on KSQUID 90.7 FM, 89.5 FM, and 89.7 FM KSQT Prunedale. You may also be streaming live online at KSQD.org. And if you are, how super cool are you? Keep streaming live on KSQD.org. I'm DJ Dupsy, and we're here with my buddy RicoR once again. And the song you just heard was Why by Supaman. And the video features Acacio Red Elk. So if you haven't looked that up yet, go ahead and look it up on the YouTube. And I'm going to turn it back over to RicoR because, again, our conversation tonight is about Indigenous and Native American rap identity decolonization and all that stuff. And so there are some lyrics that you want to point out, RicoR, in the conversation that they have. Yeah,
so the song we just heard is Why by Supaman. And it's one of my favorite songs. There's a really impactful line that's my favorite. Around 1 minute 48 seconds in the song, you'll hear, or you heard him say, why do we call them black, them white, them Asians, and use labels? Now that's racism. So, Supaman's sentiment a lot is about breaking down barriers and stereotypes, and I think that line really represents his work in a really powerful way. So I love that line a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in that line. And, these are conversations and reflections that I've had within my own communities, right? In thinking about, Black identity, right? Black culture, right? And thinking about how, there's always been this conversation, right, around, I guess the culture, right, with a capital T, and who's a part of it and who's not, and what qualifies you for that. And then now there's even like a running thing on, the running gag on social media comes from an actual colloquial phrase and talking about your black card. I don't know if you've seen those videos where
which one?
Your black card, where some
I don't think so.
influencer will randomly come up to somebody on the street, or a black influencer will ask another black person what's something that you do as a black person or belief that you hold that would get your black card revoked, quote unquote.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
And some people are like, oh, I don't like collard greens, or I don't listen to rap music, or and it's things like that. And it's it's thinking about what and who and why at what point put parameters around what's part of the history in America, right, is that a bunch of indigenous African groups were brought here and enslaved, and part of the Americanization, quote unquote, was the, just to sound familiar, right? The stripping away of the language and the practices and the customs in a lot of ways. And so, once that history was pretty much truncated from the people, right? This label black will, I reflect on it that, they came up with a lot of colorful epithets before we landed on black.
Right,
but
right, exactly. Yeah. That's true.
So yeah, it's that, and that line alone, right? And just thinking about these broad racial categorizations and how we treat them as hard science when they're really not.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was just like, when you were just mentioning that, I was thinking about the one drop rule, like for black people, if you're one drop of blackness makes you black, but it's the opposite for Native Americans,
right?
And I mean, you have to be considered like 100% Native to even be considered Native. So there's this whole thing now, like people ask me this my whole life, like, what percentage Native are you? And we don't think in percentage. Percentage, blood quantum is a very Western construct.
Yep.
And that's a struggle for us, because we're not even seen as Native for the most part, even when we are Native. Just because we have to be 100% according to this like totally stereotypical assumption, and that's something we're dealing with all the time. So
same with black identity, right? And
exactly.
If you don't fit these stereotypes, these very kind of narrow views of what people consider to be black identity,
right.
when the whole concept of black identity in a lot of ways was ascribed, right? It was projected onto us, and so a lot, fast forward to where we are today, right? And it's like, I definitely don't, I don't have an issue, right, at all, right, with calling myself black, or other people, seeing me as that, because in my head, like, it really does just translate to a mix of African indigenous communities, that blackness, for me, the blackness connects back to Africa, right? Whereas, on the continent, right, there's you have a completely different conversation, right, about race and the social construct of it, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And so,
no, it's true. And I think that's why, like, for me, my relationship to Indigenous rap, that's why it's so powerful, because what is an Indian? I mean, that's a question. Like, what does it even mean to be Native these days? Because people have these very specific kind of expectations of what natives are supposed to look like, how they're supposed to be. So by performing rap, as I kind of touched on earlier, you're automatically doing something that most people don't associate Native people with doing. You're here, like, here you are performing a complex art form, speaking your mind in a complex way. Native people are seen as unintelligent and savage and primitive and stuff. So by doing that, you're automatically surprising a lot of people that may not even expect you to do that. So that's why it's so powerful. So this next song we're going to listen to, kind of going off of that, is called Too Dumb to Care. This is from my album, Message to the People. It came out, first version of it came out August 1st of last year, 2023. And I love this song because I also sample Harry Potter in this song. And the power of love in Harry Potter is kind of a background sentiment of the song. The beginning is a sample from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the movie, which is a movie version of my favorite novel of all time. And I love that story because of how love functions in that story. So it's a very kind of like, it's supposed to be very cheeky and kind of goofy, but like a goofy way of like asking, why are people so ignorant, and why do they not want to educate themselves about things that need to be addressed? And I talk about my Native identity and Native reality as a part of that. And you guys will hear a pause at the end, but it's not over until the Native singing comes in a few seconds after that. So just be mindful of that when you're listening to it. I did that on purpose to kind of make people think it's over, but then there's a little bit of like a Native sample at the end to bring it full circle to this Native thing. So you have the Harry Potter sample at the beginning, and then about love, and then a Native sample at the end of ceremonial song. So that's supposed to be a very full circle message. But yeah, this is my original song, Too Dumb to Care, off of my album Message to the People.
It's love, Mary. Love. Love, Mary. Love.
Yeah. Now Now why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Now why are some people too dumb to care? Now why are some people too dumb to care? 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 Yo, there are things happening like not seeing natives when they're doing their thing. Politics is complex, you failed the test. Work, no positives, no quest. Had to leave, it became too much. Took a walk in the woods and said that colonial muck. I can get away with avoiding the herd. Not acceptable when I don't vibe, it's not worth my time. If you hold them accountable for their ethnic centrism and they don't give in, they gotta stick up their activism. Why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Now why are some people too dumb to care? Yes, why are some people too dumb to care? Now going to empower brings out therapy in a colonial-centric world. That's the democracy. Hold on to the words that are worth your time. Walk out if you have to, don't be excluded. Think the native bringing up the central things to be word of the world and not give too much time. You just gotta be careful with how you do it. Keep your heart on moral ground and don't be stupid. Why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Yes, why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Just remember love, keep sending love. Just remember love, keep remembering love. Just remember love, keep centering love. Keep on that love, the love's the endless glove. Just remember some people too dumb to care. Just why are some people too dumb to care? Just why are some people too dumb to care? Keep on that love's the endless glove. Why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Now why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Yes, why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Now why are some people too dumb to care? Why are some people too dumb to care? Why people 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 to care? Why some people too dumb to care? Why people to care? Why some people too dumb to care? Love, Harry. Love. I said love, Harry. Love. Love, Harry. Love. Love, Harry. Love. Why are some people too dumb to care? Love, Harry. Love. Love, Harry. Love. Why are some people too dumb to care? Love, Harry.
Yeah, remember that pause. Remember that pause at the end.
Yeah, the pause. That's the tricky part. Yeah, it confuses you.
Mm-hmm. If you're just now joining us, folks, you're listening to The Sunday Dinner here on KSQUID with host DJ Dupsy and guest RicoR. So the song you just heard was Too Dumb to Care. And so again, we're continuing on in our conversation about Native American indigenous identity and culture via rap, right? Via indigenous Native American rap.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to, so this kind of to close this part of the conversation, I guess, like, you know, there's a lot of like the songs you guys heard so far are not mainstream. You know, I'm not a mainstream artist. Supaman isn't a mainstream artist. So indigenous rap inherently is very not mainstream. But I have to say that an example of an amazing band that everybody will know that actually does dabble in indigenous rap is the Black Eyed Peas. Taboo is a member of the Black Eyed Peas, and he is a Shoshone Indian. And if you guys watch Rumble, it's a Netflix documentary. It's called Rumble, The Indians Who Rock the World. There's an amazing segment about Taboo and his identity, him talking about his identity. And Where's the Love, of course, is an amazing song that's really mainstream. And I've recently incorporated the song into my research because I realized how very much it echoes the Native sentiment. And I was kind of blown away by that. And I've listened to the song since I was little, but I never thought about that. I wanted to just do the first verse of this because I think, you know, what we're talking about, like with why, the question that he's kind of asking is what's going on with the world, what's wrong with the world? And this song, the first verse actually asks that question, what's wrong with the world? So just for kicks and for context, I want to perform this live right now. This is the first verse of Where's the Love by the Black Eyed Peas. And I did the song with a band earlier this year. We did it at the Catalyst. We did it a few different places in Santa Cruz. And I had a great collaborative experience doing that with the band. But yeah, this is Where's the Love by the Black Eyed Peas, the first verse. I had to get my drum. So yeah, it's just asking the question, and Taboo again was involved in writing the song. This is Will I Am's verse. Will I Am is an African American, but I like the hybrid of all the identities that were made or that were fused to create the song. What's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mamas. I think the whole world's addicted to the drama, only attracted to the things that'll bring you trauma. Overseas, yeah, we try to stop terrorism, but we still got terrorists here living in the USA, the big CIA, the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK. But if you only have love for your own race, then you only leave space to discriminate, and to discriminate only generates hate. And when you hate, then you're bound to get irate. Madness is what you demonstrate. That's exactly how anger works and operates. Man, you gotta have love just to set it straight, to control your mind and meditate. Let your soul gravitate to the love, gravitate to the love, gravitate to the love. So anyway,
Ashe. Ashe, Ashe.
People will recognize that. If you guys listen to the radio, you'll love that song. It's one of my favorites. So I just want to put that in there.
Yeah. And so, of course, now people thinking about the hook, with Fergie.
Oh, yeah, iconic. Yeah. And that band is amazing. Like, I listen to some of their other songs too. They have some really indigenous messages in their songs. It's really beautiful, even though they're not all natives. That's a great example how, there's a lot of like even African American bands that are coming together and spreading these messages, which is really powerful. So.
I wonder if they're gonna get back together again. I wonder,
I don't know. I have no idea.
They're like the Fugees. It's like lore at this point.
Well,
it's like,
did they
get back together?
Did they break up, or did they? Cause
the Black Eyed Peas?
Yeah.
Well,
did they officially break up? Because I know the Fergie's not in there anymore. But
right. I don't know. I don't know that lore. But definitely, some of the music from my college years, definitely my high school and college years. Black Eyed Peas is definitely part of that soundtrack. So kind of takes me back.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, one of the first songs I ever learned was that song. So next I want to play, going back to the native rap. This is Frank Waln. He's a Sichangu Lakota rapper. The song is called "What Made the Red Man Red," and it's a major part of my research because he takes the song from the Peter Pan movie from the 50s. And he turns it on its head. So because that song, if you guys know, it's still, sadly, that film is one of the very horrific representations of indigenous people as savages and primitive, and it's still in the mainstream consciousness for the most part. One of the early Disney movies, and of course Disney with Pocahontas and Peter Pan and stuff, they've definitely been guilty of, stereotyping natives, and Disney has its flaws.
More than guilty.
Yeah, more than guilty. Yeah, that's a huge, dark side of Disney, basically. But yeah, so with this song, he's taking that sentiment of natives to savages and he's flipping it to make it a song about native identity, native empowerment. And similar to Supaman, with what Supaman does with dancing, he also addresses combating the stereotype in the song by talking about the word redskin, which is a very racist word. But yeah, so you'll hear the sample of the Peter Pan movie in the song. This is What Made the Red Man Red by Frank Waln.
Personally, I should prefer to see the Aborigines. And the Indians, too. And the Indians, too. This should be the most enlightening.
What makes the red man red?
Teach them all about Red Man.
What made the red man red? What made the red man red? What made the red man red? What made the red man red?
Teach them all about Red Man. Red Man.
Your history books, your holidays, Thanksgiving lies and Columbus Day. Tell me what I know more than the teacher. Tell me what I know more than the preacher. Tell me why you think the red man is red, stained with the blood from the land he bled. Tell me why you think the red man is dead, with the fake headdress on your head. Tell me what you know about thousands of nations, displaced and confined to concentration camps called reservations. We died for the birth of your nation. Hollywood portrays us wrong. History books say we're gone. You got a church, say we're wrong. We're from the earth, it made us strong.
On many moons, Red Man fight pale face.
What made the red man red? What made the red man red?
Savages?
Savages as savage does. The white man came and ravaged us, caused genocide. Look in my eyes and tell me who you think the savage was.
Ill-faced,
Savages?
ill-faced.
Savages?
Indian celebration continued late into the night.
Savages?
Manifest destiny, arrest what's best for me. The kill my culture, America made a mess of me. You inherited everything we died for, and all we get is a goddamn mascot. Manifest destiny, arrest what's best for me. The kill my culture, America made a mess of me. You inherited everything we died for, and all we get is a goddamn mascot.
Skins, red skins, red toes, red skins.
Many moons, red man fight pale face. Sometime you win, sometime we win.
Red skins,
Red when you killed my people. Made me red when you bled my tribe. Made me red when you killed my people.
Savages? Savages?
Ill-faced,
Savages?
ill-faced.
Savages?
Brought and capture a few Indians.
Savages?
Ashe, ashe. So you just heard What Made the Red Man Red by Frank Waln.
Yes,
Frank?
Frank
Yes.
Waln, yeah.
I have to say that sample goes hard. Like
Yeah, it's intense.
we were talking that again, Disney films and stuff like that, things you see in your childhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you don't think about, but then you go back and look at it as an adult, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's intense.
But then the sample, I was like, oh my goodness, the sample, like, it goes hard. And I'm like, I like the flipping of it right
Yeah.
now as an adult listening to, I'm like, oh yeah, like,
yeah.
I don't need to go watch the film again. It's like, cause I love that. So yeah, let's continue on the conversation. Right?
Yeah, well, I think, flipping racial slurs is a huge part of the indigenous rap movement, and kind of, like natives will call each other skin sometimes as a slang, in certain kind of like rural areas and stuff. So people do that, kind of like how the N-word is also sometimes used in that way, so.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing
really
with black
important
culture.
way
Yeah.
of resisting, just to, flip the racial slur. This next one's called Eagle Feathers by Nataani Means. And if you guys know Russell Means, he's the Lakota activist. This is his son, and he has an amazing rap career. And eagle feathers in native culture represent strength and connection to the spiritual realm, and they're a very powerful symbolic entity in native culture. And there's this one line in this song that really speaks to me that I want to point out before we listen to it. And he says, around 1 minute and 3 seconds, he says, fighting every day just to keep myself alive. Demons in my mind playing tricks on my life. And yeah, I'm currently working on kind of revising this song for my own like live cover that I want to do, because it just really spoke to me recently. But yeah, this is the original. This is Eagle Feathers by Nataani Means.
Yeah. Nataani Means. Man, it's been a minute. Let's get 'em. I've been lost inside these geometric patterns, traveling at night to the moons that are orbiting Saturn, trying to find dichotomy in Earth and astronomy, transition our autonomy to building an economy. Aristocrats on Wall Street playing Monopoly, our lives are chess pieces seeking financial security. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Fuck that shit, look, they don't want a native like me speaking the truth. Probably gun me down in front of my family or the youth, or probably give me cancer like they did my dad in Trudell. I still think God's the devil and we're living in the true hell. So homie, what you claim, throwing dirt up on my name? I've been in the movement working, I just hope you do the same. In the midst of the chaos, see the smoke, they stay off. Shout out to my lawyer, cause we beat another case, dog. In the fight for Mother Earth, we don't take no days off. Doing all this music shit, hoping that it pays off. Fighting every day just to keep myself alive. Demons in my mind playing tricks on my life. Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Yeah, got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Yeah, got these eagle feathers. What? Eagle feathers, protecting me. I got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Got these eagle feathers, and I've earned my pain. All that whack shit you talking, we just can't relate. You see, lately we've been trying to give thanks to the directions. Studio sessions addressing all my imperfections. Healing with the women that I've wronged through affections. Dealing with the consequences of these life decisions. Out in a resistance camp, hoping someone listens. Tired of the people always playing like the victim. Trying to remind myself that I'm here for the right intentions. Searching for the answers, am I asking the right questions? Where the brothers had that say they really about that action, but when it comes down to it, you can see who's acting. Gucci gang, rappers sound like Pootie Tang. Talk about what you slang, then you dropping all the names. We don't fuck with you. We don't fuck with them. I might be at a wrong age, still be sounding cocky, but even though you block me, I know that you still watch me. Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Yeah, got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Yeah, got these eagle feathers. What? Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. I got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Got these eagle feathers, and I've earned my pain. All that whack shit you talking, we just can't relate.
Man, yo, I murder a rhyme, a word at a time. You never heard of a mind that's deserving to shine. I'm still searching to find the passion and thirst, so I'm blasting this verse till I'm in the back of a hearse. They massacre Earth. Hey yo, the hate is major. They raping nature, chasing paper. So I rap tight and snatch mics like a space invader. The K Crusader, that's real hip hop, son. You know you take the flavor, but it ain't about that. Forget yo, who spits the dopest or who gets noticed. Trying to get these kids to focus and let them know it's not hopeless. And if they don't like our flow, bro, well, yo, we give them roses. Now you can step to me, I'm walking in my destiny. Every breath a miracle, this is spiritual weaponry. You can't stop the legacy, creator still blessing me. You see, we know better, got these eagle feathers protecting me.
Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Yeah, got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Yeah, got these eagle feathers. What? Got these eagle feathers, protecting me. I got these eagle feathers, protecting me. Got these eagle feathers, and I've earned my pain. All that whack shit you talking, we just can't relate.
Ha, ha, Shikayu. Ha, ha, Hokotea now. Ha, ha, Shikayu. Ha, ha, Hokotea to revolutionize, indigenize. Instead, yeah, with Indian eyes to revolutionize, indigenize. Instead, yeah, with Indian eyes. No, we don't have to revolutionize, we just have to indigenize. Come on, no, we don't have to revolutionize, we just have to indigenize. To revolutionize, indigenize. Instead, yeah, with Indian eyes to revolutionize, indigenize. Instead, yeah, with Indian eyes. I got those eagle feathers protecting me. 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 But that was a song off my album that I just wanted to put in there.
Ashe for the live music. And that was the first part of Indian
like a
Eyes.
medley, yeah. And then I did a little bit of Eagle Feathers in there, but yeah, Indian Eyes is kind of like the title track sentimentally to my record. And yeah, it's just kind of like it's a very similar song to Why in a lot of ways, and a lot of these songs I'm talking about today, it's kind of my version of, I guess, trying to do that in terms of just talking about Native identity and the importance of it.
Yeah.
And I perform it a lot in those conversations, so it's been with me for a long time for a lot of different reasons, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah. And the song you just heard was Eagle Feathers by Nataani Means, and Supaman.
And Supaman,
was also
he was also on
that.
Yeah.
And a few colorful words slipped in there, but that's all right. We're telling the story, right? We're telling the story,
Yes.
and sometimes a few colorful words slip in there, and it's part of the story.
Yes.
But yeah.
And also, like, the chorus of Indian Eyes is like the part that I just did, to revolutionize, indigenize. with Indian Eyes, that sentiment is kind of the sentiment of the entire movement. So that's also why I chose to perform it.
Yeah. And if you're just now tuning in, folks, you're listening to the Sunday Dinner live here on KSQUID 90.7 FM, 89.5 FM, 89.7 KSQT Prunedale. You may also be streaming live at KSQD.org. And if you are, how super cool are you? Keep streaming live on KSQD.org. I'm here with my buddy RicoR, and we've been having a conversation through Indigenous Rap music about Indigenous and Native American identity, decolonization, race and the social construct and all that kind of stuff. And so, but having that conversation through music, right? Both some recorded tracks from Indigenous artists, right, around the country or the world, and then some live tracks, as you just heard, some live performance from our special guest again, RicoR. And so, as we get into our just desserts here, as we get ready to close out another Sunday dinner, what do you have for us in our just desserts, RicoR?
Yeah, so I want to end with this kind of whole sentiment of just ending the political conversation, because we're talking a lot about Indigenous rap that's very political. And the last part of this conversation, I kind of want to bring it to talking about the boarding schools and the genocide, which is at the core of the movement. Before, a lot of these songs so far today have been about Native identity in different ways and resisting the stereotype. Now we're bringing it to more historical context in terms of boarding school system, which of course is something that's not talked about in the schools. And I want to end it with something that's not even Native American, but it's actually Native Canadian, because Canada is doing a lot of the same stuff.
What they call First Nations?
It's first. Well, they're actually Haisla is the tribe. I don't know if that's First Nations. I don't know enough about the tribes up there.
Me neither.
But what they are doing is very similar to the Americans. So Supaman is American, Nataani Means is American. I'm obviously American, but the Snotty Res Kids, which is a name you guys may recognize, they are actually a Canadian, specifically a Haisla group. And they have a song called Savage Mob, which was recently brought to my attention by one of my mentors, Marty Rizzo Martinez, who I have worked with in many ways, both as my teacher, but also just going to his events. And he's been a friend for a long time, and he's a faculty member at UCSC. And we were talking about Native rap, and he told me about the song called Savage Mob. And it's a song that's directly about the Native American boarding schools. And there's a very interesting line. We don't need your education. We don't need your thought control. Priest, don't kill my vibe. Hey, leave them kids alone. And I think it's interesting because the sound of this record is very different from the other songs. So far these songs have been very focused, on like the native drum, native singing, a lot of ceremonial sounds mixed in with the rap. But this one is actually trap beat, which I know is kind of a more modern style that people listen to. I personally am not even really the biggest fan of the sound itself. I think it's very much an acquired taste. I think I'm using it as kind of part of my research now, getting into it. But the lyrics of the song are kind of at the core of the processing of this for me. But it's just a good example of how, like, Savage Mob and Snotty Res Kids, they're doing a very similar thing to Supaman and Nataani Means in terms of their resistance, but the sound is more modern and more contemporary. And I'm just going to play the first 22 seconds of this, because they do, to use your term, Mark, they use some colorful words later on.
Yeah, and I think we've already reached our colorful word limit tonight.
Exactly. So we're not going to go there again, and my apologies for the tech issue before. But we're just going to listen to the beginning, which is that line that I just pointed out. This is Savage Mob by Snotty Res Kids.
I be living in that 7th generation, doing something stubborn to it. I'm P to the R to the AVE, that's how a savage do it. We don't need your education, we don't need your thought control. Please don't kill my tribe. Hey, leave them kids alone. I've been a little bit about.
So that was the first 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, and if you guys like that kind of sound, listen to the whole song. It's definitely a very interesting genre, but yeah. But it belongs in this conversation for a lot of reasons.
Right. Yeah. So as we get ready to close out, I know we're going to close with another one of your songs.
Yeah,
RicoR, right? More Than a Word. Yeah.
Yes.
But I guess just to wrap up, what would you say, this episode or something like this, right, means to you personally, to your research, and maybe to folks out there listening who've like, hey, I've never really, delved into the genre of Native American or Indigenous rap. I didn't even know maybe if it was a genre. Why did you feel it was important to bring this to us tonight? Because I'm so appreciative that you did.
Well, I'm glad I was able to. I think, we're living, like right now, I'm noticing there's always been a lot of Native invisibility. It's just kind of part of being Native and people not really seeing you for who you are. I had a great conversation with another one of I like to give shout outs to people I work with, Ronaldo Wilson, who is also professor at UCSC. I asked him about rap recently, and I asked him what is his experience with rap, and he said, it's the reason I can talk. And I thought that was really powerful. And I have to say that same thing applies to me and the reason that I study this, because I was raised Native on one side of my family, German on the other side. I have a very interesting relationship with the Holocaust, both in Germany, the history of the genocide of the American Indians, our relationship to things like the Trail of Tears, and my dad's doing a lot of archival research into our family, finding out historical context. So it's why I live, and, I study Native rap because it brings me closer to my identity, and it also, I think, raises a certain level of awareness that a lot of people don't have, because like you just said, a lot of people don't even know the Native rap is out there. People don't know the Natives are out there. About 10 years ago, the mayor of Santa Cruz confessed to my father that he did not know that there were even any Indians in Santa Cruz at all. And that's an example.
Part of education is sometimes you have to say things out loud.
And
it's
not a critique on anybody personally. It's just it's a part of the reality we're living in. And I think Native rap is so underground, not only because people just don't listen to, but also because Natives are underground. Natives as a people, we are underground. People don't think about the fact that we exist. So this next song, More Than a Word, it's one of my latest songs. Came out Thanksgiving, and it's me kind of doing the same thing like with Indian Eyes. It's just kind of my version of doing what the Native rap movement is about, which from what I've kind of studied is very much about combating the stereotype, just bringing awareness to Native identity. In this song, I'm doing that in my own way. The history of these lyrics is interesting because it actually belonged to a song called Disposable. The first verse of More Than a Word belonged to a song called Disposable, which I did with a band on campus earlier this year, and then it transformed. I've had the song for a long time. I brought it back this year, and I'm doing something similar to what Frank Waln is doing with What Made the Red Man Red, where I'm taking the term redskin and really analyzing it, and the power of the message, of the song is about racial slurs and how racial slurs can be harmful. People don't think about the fact that they're harmful, and people throw these words around without thinking about their effects. That is part of the Native invisibility, the fact that people don't see us. So this is More Than a Word, and it's my Thanksgiving single, and this will be on a Native American rap album that I'm currently working on. It's kind of funny, I'm working on 2 albums at the same time, which can happen when you're a DIY artist. But yeah, this is going to be on an album, which I think the album is going to be Eyes of the Few. It's going to be devoted purely to Native rap, and it may or may not come partially out of my graduate research at the moment. We'll see how the timelines add up. I'm also working on a rock album too, so we'll see what happens. I'm not quite sure what my next album is right now, but one of those will definitely be it. But yeah, this is More Than a Word, which at the moment is my Thanksgiving single for 2024, and I hope it stands out to you guys.
And we'll see you next time on the Sunday Dinner.
Come on. I got something to say. Let me say it. This goes out to Yeah. Let's go. More than a word. Yeah, more than a word. More than a word. Yeah, more than a word. More than a word. Yeah, more than a word. More than a word. Yeah. As As I look around and evaluate the world, I notice things that make me toss and twirl. What's with all of this dehumanization? We need a little more education. All of those trains of innocent people, some of them too weak to combat the evil. A tattoo that takes away your life, makes you nothing, not a person, just a weak outline or self a man. Why don't we understand? Don't attack people cause they don't fit the plan. One save of your head strips your identity. In one move you're gone, lost your integrity. I look back now, those boarding schools take kids from their moms, call them a fool. Lost out their mouth for speaking their tongue. Where's that in our classes? Where's that to teach the young? I think about those kids in the lab, parents gone, a number in a saved head. Looking back to unneeded wars, using genocide as a way to create an org. Beware of how a number takes away a name, how this country doesn't want to admit the shame. Let's recall the good and the hard in the past, and what it takes to stay human and respectful, that's the task. How can you see people as disposable? How can you cut them out and still feel whole? Where's your heart? Where's your mind? Where's your love? Yeah, let the goodness take its toll. More than a word. Yeah, more than a word. More than a word. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Come on, come on. Yeah, yeah. The best of me is in my spirituality, is flowing in and out of my own philosophy. And honestly, I don't know how people live when they insult and know. I know how important my culture is to me, so now it don't mess up any contingencies. The politics give the world and meant to not getting hurt, because my life is made up of spiritual healing words. The worst thing I hate is being caught as bait, being treated as a demon of savage animus fate. To make it go, stop racism's flow into the depths of society, the tunnel where I must go. They say hate is often used as bait to get people's depressed feelings into the world of shame. I say no, let's let it go. Hate shouldn't be televised as overpowering the spiritual skies. So now listen, children of the world, Hakuna Matata to all kids who are in this world, because my life is made up of spiritual healing word. More than a word. More than a word. Yeah. You feel my interference with the education flaw. You feel my interference, you say you know it all, you don't. You feel my interference with the info that will change the way you see the world and the way you see today. You feel my interference with the education flaw. You feel my interference, you say you know it all, you don't. You feel my interference with the info that will change the way you see the world and the way you see today. You feel my interference with the education flaw. You feel my interference, you say you know it all, you don't. You feel my interference with the info that will change the way you see the world and the way you see today. You feel my interference is more than a word. You feel my interference, you say you know it all, you don't. Now redskin is more than a word. The redskin world is more than a word. Redskin is more than a word. Redskin is more than a word. Now redskin is more than a word. Redskin is more than a word.